Hello, Top Fan Rivalry friends. It is your boy Bill. It is Scott. I'm Bill. That's Scott. We are here. Of course, it's Monday on the Bleacher Brothers Radio Sports Network, on YouTube, all over the place. We're here to talk some baseball. I was going to say ITFTV, Scotty, but I don't know that everybody knows that. You
I
do.
think you're
Dodger
right.
fans
I
know.
do. I do. And thank you to Vin Scully for being the one to coin that. It's time for Dodgers baseball for those of you who are still struggling with it.
Yeah.
ITFD.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, I can't believe we've had two games already. And I'm so grateful we won both of them because that would be really it would be terrible to be the Cubs right now and a game back, and neither none of the other teams in their division have even taken the field officially yet.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm still. I think the MLB would tell you it was definitely a success. The Japan trip. I'm sure they made a ton of money. I just am not. I don't know. I'm not. I just don't like the idea of the regular season starting a week plus before it actually really starts. Like you've got to go play some games and cut your spring training short, and especially with some of the weird injuries the Dodgers have been dealing with and
So
weird
we'll get
things.
to
So
both the injuries and that here in a second. And I agree with you, man. Scotty, I hate it. I hate the early start to spring training or the late, try that again. Early start to the season, cutting spring training short. I
yeah,
absolutely hate it. I know that it's good for baseball. I get the fact that we're trying to deal with making the game more international. I
yeah,
completely understand that. I don't like it. I don't
yeah.
like it. And I don't like the fact that the Dodgers are doing it. And we'll
Two
get to
years in a
that when we
row
talk
too.
2 years in a row. Exactly. And we'll get to the schedules in a second. But first, Scott, talk to me about some of the highlights that you had for the Tokyo series. By the way, before you do that, do you know the Dodgers had a signing out of that Tokyo series? Did you know
No,
they signed somebody?
I don't think I did know that.
You didn't hear?
I didn't.
Okay, they signed a backup third baseman and Rodney Pete.
Oh,
If Max Muncy gets hurt, Rodney Pete is going to be there for
okay,
him.
okay.
He
It's
made the
good to know.
catch. He got the Steve
I'm gonna
Boston.
pray. I'm gonna pray really hard that Max Muncy stays healthy all 162 games. But
Scotty, tell me
okay,
you know what I'm talking about.
I
Tell me you
do.
know what.
I do. I do. I do.
Woo! You're looking
That
at me
was
like, so if you're listening to this on Bleacher Brothers Network, you're not watching it on YouTube. First of all, what are you doing? But whatever. Um, but if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should have seen Scotty's face. He's like, they signed somebody? What? He had this look on his face like
took me a minute. I was a little
kids, candy
slow on the
store jar,
uptick there.
everything.
So no,
Okay.
I think from that series, I mean, obviously one, you're up a full game already. So
Mhm.
that and that's from two guys that our team's up a game going into the season, and no other team has taken the field yet, and we're both still upset that they had to play those two early games. But um, I think that the pitching looked good.
Mhm.
Yamamoto and Sasaki. Sasaki's had ups and downs, but overall, I'm bullish on him. We'll put it that way. And bullpen looked good, especially for coming out of spring training and coming out a little early from spring training. Muncy seems to be hitting the ball, especially if you. I mean, I know we talk in Japan, but we're talking also against the Angels yesterday in another spring training game. But that's a good sign. We need Max swinging the bat well. Um, we obviously missed Freddie and Mookie,
Mhm.
but Freddie seems to be getting better. Mookie, according to him, he feels great. He just can't keep food down. We'll get more into that later. So we missed that, and that was I'm sure the Japanese fans were a little sad that they didn't get to see two All Star, probably Hall of Famers right there. Um, but man, Shohei looks like Shohei. Looks like he's going to be doing what he did last year again, and maybe then some. Maybe we'll get to see him pitch a few games this year and get that plus from having him on the roster. Um, yeah, I mean, I just overall, I think the Dodgers looked pretty good coming going over there, and put on a good show. They won both games, scored some runs. The pitching overall didn't give up too many runs, and that's what we're looking for. So yeah, I think like we've said, other than the absurdity of starting the season 10 days before the rest of the league, um, and happen to do it 2 years in a row. Other than that, and luckily for us as Dodger fans, we got the good result. Like I said earlier, Cubs fans have got to be feeling, man, we haven't even really started the season and we're a game back. That's just kind of what it feels like. So,
And a lot of clubs are going to feel like that all season long with the
yeah,
Dodgers.
yeah, yeah,
Um, the positives that I take away from the Tokyo series is we didn't have a lot of major injuries. That's what I was
right.
concerned about.
Good. Yeah,
That
that's a good point.
that's number one. Yamamoto looked impressive. Roki, maybe a little bit of jitters, but
Yeah,
he showed us something with the bases loaded and 1 out and working out of that jam.
yeah.
It's amazing.
And that's what I mean. He had some ups and downs, got himself into some jams, but got himself out of those. And doing that early in the season, and hopefully a whole season of him and some coaching and being around some of those other pitchers in that on that staff will just help him elevate his game. And you
Mhm.
know, let's let's go.
Right. So that exactly right. The bats were good. The guys were taking walks. Shohei hit a double, but got credited for a home run.
Yep.
Um, you and I will both agree to that was not a home
Yeah.
run.
Yeah.
That is
Agreed.
Shohei baseball right there, but we'll
Yeah.
take it.
Agreed.
Um, and so all things considering, those are positives. If I was going to be nitpicky, if I was going to look at it and say, huh, here's my nitpicky itis or isms or whatever it is. Here's where I get nitpicky. First and second, nobody out. We don't bunt. After Will Smith and Max Muncy take walks, we're down a run. We don't bunt. That may not hurt us in March. It may hurt us in August or July when we don't do that.
Right.
I do
And
not
and
know.
and will for sure hurt us in postseason play if we aren't doing that.
Correct. If you build a reputation, and this is kind of the basketball analogy, right? Scott, you're a basketball fan, I'm a basketball fan. Growing up
Yep.
in the 80s, it was the Showtime, like it was run and gun basketball. In the
Yep.
90s, you had Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan. It was run and gun basketball,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Now you have 33 pointers a game. It's ridiculous. If
And I know
you're
I know this isn't a basketball podcast, but the NBA has become almost unwatchable, and maybe is unwatchable. I don't know. We won't go down that rabbit hole, but
Yeah,
I know what you're saying. It just has been the evolution of the game of basketball has not been good
no,
at the
not good.
professional level.
So, so that being said, right? If you're playing the Dodgers and you know that every guy's going up there trying to hit a 5 run home run, you know that you can play back. You
Yeah.
you walk Will, you walk Max, and then you've got a guy like Kiki up. Why doesn't he try to lay it down when the infield's back? Now, at worst case scenario, you have second and third. At best case scenario, you got base loaded, and
Right.
you're in the mind of the other team. Hey, these guys may bunt. We
Yeah.
need to play for the bunt.
Well,
And so right
and
now we're not keeping guys on their toes.
I'm a huge proponent of we need to start stealing bases more often in Major League Baseball, especially after the rule change last year and the bases are slightly bigger, which means from base to base is slightly shorter.
Mhm.
I mean, and those little distances, while they seem insignificant, it's those split seconds that are the difference between being safe and being thrown out. And I just think that with the speed that the Dodgers have in some of their guys, we need to see a little more of that. You need to see, like you were just saying, when you get into situations, especially when you need a run, you're behind, you got two guys on, no one out.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's
So
there's few guys, if any, on that roster that I think shouldn't be asked to lay a bunt down in that situation.
100%, 100%. And again, you and I grew up where we got to watch one of the greatest ones ever, which was Ricky Henderson.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Exactly. Back in the
Yeah, he was
mid,
amazing.
yeah, back in the mid late 80s and early 90s, if you walked Ricky or he got a base hit, he was on third base by the next two
Yeah,
pitches because he was
yeah.
going to steal your lunch. Now, imagine, Scotty, for a second that Ricky had the pitch clock and the bigger bases. He
Oh
would
my
stole 200
word.
bases a season.
Yeah. With the new rule, and I didn't even think about that from that standpoint, but yeah, with the pitch clock, well, with the pitch clock, with the limited number of times you can throw to first base as a pitcher now,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right,
the slightly shorter base distance between the bases, I just don't.
right.
That had to have helped Otani in his 50 for 50 last year. Had to have. I just I hope I would love to see the Dodgers, like you said, play a little more small ball, play a little more old fashioned baseball. Honestly, I'd love to see that across the Major League Baseball a little
Major League
more,
Baseball.
just
Yeah,
in general. I mean, it just has gotten not nearly as bad as the NBA. Not even close, but it's still frustrating that we've kind of gotten to a point of okay, it's get a guy on base and swing for the fences,
right.
and we're okay with a guy hitting 230 with 30 home runs and 40 strikeouts.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
and
I don't know.
and again, I mean, for those of you that are listening to this that were not alive in the 80s or 90s, I implore you to go watch an Oakland. That's a
Yeah,
thing in the past
Oakland
also too.
A's.
Go watch an Oakland A's game and watch Ricky Henderson. He walks by the third pitch or by two pitches later, he's standing on third base.
Yeah,
And now all you need is a fly ball and you're up 1-0, right? And I mean, Ricky was so good. If he had the pitch clock and the mounting disengagements like Scotty's talking about, I'd be a manager, the opposing manager, and I call timeout. As soon as he got to first base, I look at the umpire and say, just put him on third base. He's been
seriously,
embarrassed.
almost it's because it was that way with the old rules.
Mhm.
Yeah, I just I don't know and for those of you that maybe don't know, he did play 30 games for the Dodgers, so
He did.
we can talk about Ricky and still be within our format here as Dodger
Format.
baseball podcast
Okay, so
broadcast, whatever we
the
want.
the uh the Tokyo series is in the books. We're
Yep,
excited that it's in the books.
yep, me
We'll talk
too.
about scheduling in a second. Let's talk about what we're dealing with now going into there's one more game left. I'll be at the Dodger Angel game tomorrow night. There's one more game left, and then you got started the season. Let's talk about the injury bug.
Yes.
Several people are struggling,
Yep.
um, but Scotty, do you want to mention a few of them? How do you want to play this?
So we mentioned earlier Freddie Freeman was having some discomfort in his ribs, obliques area. That
Mhm.
seems to have subsided, and he looked pretty good swinging the bat against the Angels in that first game, and hopefully, and he's supposed to be in the lineup again tomorrow night, and hopefully we get to see him swing some other. Like to see him hit one out. That would be nice.
Mhm.
Uh, just get him rolling, but that's one. So we're not so worried about Freddie, it doesn't seem. But Mookie is weird because it's like this illness that happened at the last week, day or two of being in Arizona
Arizona.
before they headed to Japan. And then he went to Japan and then they ended up sending him home because he just could not stop, I guess couldn't stop throwing up. And I read an article this morning that he was supposed to play against the Angels, but they scratched him 90 minutes before because he tried to eat some solid food and he had another throw up session apparently.
Okay.
And so he's basically said he can keep liquid down, even like smoothies and stuff, but as soon as he tries to eat like full on solid food, it just wreaks havoc on his stomach for some reason. So I don't know. Blood tests have said he's fine, but he's lost. You mentioned this 2 weeks ago, and he's lost, I think they said 15 pounds since his reporting weight at camp when he first showed up to spring training. And so that one is probably the most concerning just because that bat in the lineup, both from an actual standpoint and from a perspective standpoint, is important in that lineup. It protects other guys in that lineup when he's in there, and gives you another guy who's hits high average and can hit it out just about any time and going to drive some runs in. So hopefully he gets feeling better. They're not planning on him playing in the next game against the Angels, and he's questionable right now for opening day.
Yeah.
So that to me is the most concerning one. Um, and I think probably all Dodger fans would agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. The one thing about the Dodgers is they did go out and get, as some people joke around about, they did go out and get a 90 man. Most people have a 40-man roster. The Dodgers have like a 97-man roster.
Right,
Um,
right.
so it, though Mookie, it's bad when Mookie's out. Look at that lineup that they put together in Tokyo. That is still that's a mini me murder's row.
It
You
is.
add
It
Mookie and
is.
Freddie in there.
It is. And
So
I should clarify. I'm obviously, if Mookie's got to miss a little time early on, that's okay. It's just I hope they get this figured out. I hope it's nothing serious and we can get
right.
him back because I know he'll be in the lineup eventually. It's so weird that they blood tests are showing nothing wrong with him. He's just got this weird stomach bug going.
Yeah.
So
Well, and again, having had my own history of medical issues over the last couple of years,
right,
it's a little nerve-wracking when people say things like, your blood tests are clear, but we don't know why you're not being
right,
able to hold stuff down, right? You
right,
you can't play at the highest levels in professional baseball when you can't have a burger, you can't have solid food. Where are you
right.
going to get your proteins from? You can't, I mean, if you a shake,
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
yeah. I agree. I
So,
agree. Well,
Clayton
and you've
Kershaw
got
goes to the 60-day IL.
what was that one? Kershaw?
Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense to me. You knew that was probably coming anyway.
Uh-huh.
Not worried about that. We've talked a little Kershaw. Um, One of my top two, three all-time Dodgers for me. And definitely top Dodger that played in my lifetime. For me that I really got to see. So for me, it's more important to have him around the team, almost in a player coach role, which is what he kind of was last year in the
Mhm.
postseason. And I know that's kind of what they've brought him back for too. So that doesn't surprise me. He'll still be traveling with the team and
Mhm.
having bullpen sessions and things like that, and getting himself back to where he needs. And again, he's another one. If you're a Dodger fan, you want him back for the stretch run. That's what you're
Ye-
really more worried about is into summer, into October, and having him peak at the right time.
Correct. And we kind of expected that going
Yep.
going into May, maybe even into June. The
Yeah.
Dodgers have a lot of starting pitching: Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, Roki Sasaki, Dustin May, Shohei when he comes
Yep.
back.
Yep.
Um,
You've got
they
Gonsolin on the 15 day. He'll be
yeah.
back in there at some point. Emmett Sheehan, same thing.
Hmm.
Um, Gavin Stone, I think, and River Ryan, they're both out for the season, correct?
Correct. They are both
So
Tommy
we won't
John.
see them back. The
Yeah.
flip side of that too is you've got a couple of you've got a long term one again in Gratterall, and he's out for the year, right?
Hmm.
He's there's no chance of him coming back. But you
No.
got Kopech and Phillips. But man, the rest of that pitching staff in the bullpen, that this is the best. I feel like going into the season, this is the best bullpen we've had in a while,
Well,
top
and
to
on the
bottom.
offensive side too, you look at the Dodgers and you think, no deficit is too big. And
Right.
there's been a lot of teams that I felt like that over the years. One being the Anaheim Angels in 2020, in 2002 when they won the World Series.
Yeah.
They just had this weird thing where no lead was safe against
Mm-hmm.
them. You're kind of in the same boat with the Dodgers this season. I mean, the Dodgers did have to play behind actually in both games. They played no, I'm sorry, the first game they played behind, the second game they did not. They scored first. But
Yeah.
again, nothing to mess with. It's good luck. If you're up 5-0 on the Dodgers, don't worry. They got some chances, right?
Right.
They got some chances.
Right.
So
Right. And the other thing with the Dodgers too is you feel like, I mean, they've got three legit, maybe even a fourth closer in that bullpen. And so as a Dodger fan, you feel like, okay, we can just get to the fifth, sixth inning, we probably are okay. Like And are
exactly.
you going to win every one of those? Of course not. That's not sports. That's not athletics. But you just can feel confident, and Dave Roberts can feel confident. And the great thing for him is that maybe not so much for fantasy owners, but the great thing for him is he could pick a few matchups at times that are better for the closing position in a game, depending on who the lineup, who they're playing and who's coming up to bat in the inning they're coming in. So I
Yeah.
just what a great problem to have. We've talked about this, and the 98 man roster for the Dodgers. It's a good problem when you've got gives you some options to move some guys in and out of the injured list. Look, we've talked about the NBA a little bit already. That's what Phil Jackson used to do. Phil Jackson, no one else did this when the Bulls won those 6 titles. No one else was utilizing the injured reserve list at the NBA like he was. He had a 12-man roster and he had 3 guys on that bench, and he rotated those last 3 guys on, or if there was a bigger name that needed to go on the injured list, he had those guys. But he hid some guys basically on that. And that's what the Dodgers are going to be able to do and are able to do right now because of some of the guys they signed. And so, you can take your time with a guy like Kershaw. You can take your time with Shohei Ohtani as the pitcher. Um, and make sure that they're going to be in the right place so that you have them firing on all cylinders for the playoff run.
Correct. Correct. Love it. Okay, before we get too far into things, we want to thank Bleacher Brothers Radio for having us on, always having us on every Monday night to talk about the Dodgers and do the Dodgers update. But Scott, we need to tell everybody about something special that Top Fan
Yes, we
Rivalry
do. Yes, we
has
do.
has actually done. This box breaking community that has become a thing with TFR has been absolutely phenomenal. So we here at Top Fan Rivalry decided we're going to make it a little easier on you, save you a little bit of money. There is such a thing called the 27-ounce club. You buy the 27-ounce club, it's $27 a month. Not only do you get a $5 off deal for that month, but in addition to that, you get your shipping and you also get your team. So if you are a Dodger fan, for example, and the Dodgers were not claimed, which they
Which they
have
are
been,
by me, but
they
just
are
so
by
you know.
Scott,
But
which they
yeah,
are by Scott. Since this
yeah,
is a Dodger podcast, we got to say that. But
yeah.
let's assume that they weren't. You have your
Yep.
27-ounce club. You pay the $27 a month, and you're in, and you always have the Dodgers on the 2 box breaks for the month that are club box breaks. Now, if you're listening to this tonight on Bleacher Brothers Radio Network, we still have a few teams left to go grab if you'd like to go grab them tonight before the
Some good
box
teams
break.
left too. There's some
What's
good
that?
teams left. There's some good teams left
Yeah,
too.
there's some great teams left. It was surprising to me this morning when I looked because we've been so busy, Scott. It's surprising to me. I said, "Oh wow, we've only had 11 teams or 10 teams," and the next thing I know, 7 of them were gone today. And I thought, oh, okay,
Love to see that.
yeah, love to see that. So, anyways, $27 guarantees you your team if they're available. Once we sell out of the 27-ounce club, we will open up a new club. There is a wait list right now. There's somebody on it for the Padres already. There's 2 people that want to battle Scott for the Dodgers at some point when we open the new club up. So who knows, right? But it's there. It's exciting times to be a sports a baseball fan, to be a sports card collector. So
It's
good
fun.
times.
My testament to it's a blast. We've had fun. I've gotten back into card collecting with it, partially with it. And it's a blast. So if you like it, it's fun. There's kind of some good anxiety as you're waiting, hoping that signature card is the team you picked that you're running. So come join us. It's a lot of fun. It's a good little community. And look, baseball cards are going up in value. And baseball, better than the other sports, have figured out that if we throw some random signed stuff and they call it relics, then it's great. It's awesome, and we have a lot of fun. So please come join us.
Yeah, and absolutely. And so the first box break club that we had, the first 27-ounce club we had, Amber was doing the box breaking, I was doing the announcing. And what did we pull? We pulled a Dennis Eckersley auto,
Mm,
a Hall of
so
Famer.
cool.
Like that was the first one, like, boom, right out the
Yeah,
gate, right?
yeah, it
Just
was awesome. And yeah, I was really mad I didn't have the A's on that one.
there you go. All right, Scott, let's talk about the Dodgers schedule.
Okay.
Um, you mentioned that you don't like this, so let me just read you off a couple of statistics
Okay.
just so that you know. Okay.
Sounds
Um,
good.
so the Dodgers completed their spring training, so to speak, on the 11th of this month. They flew on the 12th, or the 11th, maybe that night, I don't know,
Yeah.
over to Tokyo. The Dodgers prospects and the Cubs prospects stayed in Arizona and were supposed to play a prospects game, but it was canceled due to weather.
Yep.
The Dodgers then played a double header on the 15th. So they had the 12th, the 13th, and the 14th off. They played the 15th against the Tigers and against the Giants, the Tokyo Tigers, Tokyo Giants.
Okay.
Um, had the 16th and 17th off. Then started with two games that mattered, 18th and 19th.
Yep.
Obviously won those. Um, then they had the 20th, the 21st, and the 22nd off. They played the Angels the 23rd, 24th, and 25th. Now they have the 26th off. So the
Okay.
first time they play a meaningful game is 8 days later.
Yeah.
They open against the Motown Boys, the Detroit Tigers.
Yeah.
So Scott, here's what gets me that that part I don't have a problem with. Okay. Here's what gets me irked. They have the 3 days off, flying back from Tokyo
Right.
to play three games that don't matter. Then they have a day off. Then they play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then they have Sunday off.
Okay.
Okay. Then they play the Braves Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then they have Thursday off. Okay.
That's so weird.
It is so weird.
That's just not baseball. That's why it's weird. It's just there's no rhythm
No,
to it.
no, no.
And anyone who's played any sport knows that that's one of the most important things is kind of keeping in that rhythm, keeping
keep it in the zone.
in the zone, there's no way to get in that when it's that choppy. The schedule's that choppy. So, well, hopefully I mean, obviously, hopefully we survive okay and win a good portion, more games than we lose through
Yeah.
that stretch, and then we get into just kind of more normal. But yeah, that's just a herky
So,
jerky start for the Dodgers, and I don't like it.
so either do I. And so it gets even more fun. You ready for this, Scott?
Yeah.
April 17th or April 16th, we play a day or a night game, 7:10 p.m. night game in LA.
Okay.
We have Thursday the 17th off to fly to Texas. We play Texas on the 18th, 19th, and 20th, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
Then we have Monday off to fly to Chicago to play Tuesday and Wednesday in Chicago to take Thursday off again.
Oh, weird. Do they like have no breaks in July, August, and September?
Well, and then so then you
So
go,
weird.
you get Thursday the first off of May, and then you play it looks like 7, 8, 9, 10 games in a row, and all that traveling that they're not doing, right? Because flying to Texas and then flying to Chicago,
Right.
they have Thursday off the first to fly to Atlanta. Then they play Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then they play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday in Miami, and then they play Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in um, in Arizona.
Yeah.
So
See?
where's where is like the time off? It's just
Yeah.
it's silly.
Well, and go look into June even. You've got a stretch where you finish a series against the Yankees
Hmm.
that started on a you get a Thursday off to travel from Cleveland back home.
Right.
So you are home, but you're home, you start a series with the Yankees on Friday, and then you go that entire week, Yankees at home, Mets at home, then you got to travel on an early start game on Thursday against the Mets, then you travel to St. Louis, play St. Louis, then you have to fly back on Sunday after an
Yeah.
early game. You got to fly back to California to play at the Padres, and your next day off isn't until the 12th.
Yeah. Right.
So you're 2 weeks plus. You're 2 weeks without a single break.
Yeah. No,
And then
it's
and then right after that, you go another almost 2 weeks. You go, yeah,
mhm,
you go a week and a half until a break, and then another. Yeah, that you can tell
yeah,
what's happening is with that choppy start. They the first half of the season they end up with some long stretches with no day off, not even a travel day. They got to
right.
travel. They got to travel like late into July, even just before the All Star break. They got at least a day between Milwaukee and San Francisco.
Yeah, and on Cinco de Mayo, on May 5th, they play the Mets at home at a 1:10 start, and then on the 6th they play in St. Louis a 5:15 Pacific Standard Time start. So
And
basically,
here's another one. Only 3 days off in August. Only 3 days off in September total.
yeah, yeah, it's nuts. I mean, when you're talking, and what if you're listening to this and you're a baseball nut like Scotty and I are, you understand how this plays out. But this is, if you don't, this is how this
Oh,
plays out. These guys get to the stadium for a 1:10 start time. They'll get to the stadium about 8 o'clock in the morning.
yeah.
They'll dress out, they'll do everything that they need to do. Go ahead, Scotty.
No, I was just gonna say it. And then they also show up to the stadium most times packed because they have to leave
Correct.
after the game to head to another city for their next series.
So they show up at 8 o'clock with their bags, right? They get to the trainer, they get to whatever. They play the game at 1:10. The game ends sometime between 4 and 4:30. They shower up, they catch the team bus to LAX. They're probably, I mean, obviously it's a chartered flight, but they're probably
Right.
on a 7 o'clock flight. And it's a good 3 hour flight to St. Louis. So they arrive in St. Louis 2 hours ahead. They
Mm-hmm.
arrive in St. Louis about midnight. By the time they get to the hotel, it's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And then they're playing again, you know, 14 and 15 hours later.
Right.
So it gets a little dicey. The schedule gets a little dicey for these guys. Look
No,
at that
it's
August.
and when you don't have those days off, and especially a lot of these guys have played several seasons. Several of them have played a lot of seasons, and you get used to the like again the cadence of the season and the way that the rhythm of okay, we're off.
Mhm.
We played Sunday, we're off Monday, travel day. Or we played Sunday morning, we're heading out Sunday night, we play Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're off Thursday. And when you have those stretches where you're going 14 days, 10 days, 13 days, 12 days, when you're not getting a single day off, it can take a toll on you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so by the way, another reason to like what the Dodgers did signing people because you're going to have a little bit weird of a herky jerky of a season could cause some other injury problems.
yes,
I know we sound like
100%.
the sky's falling, and anyone who's not a Dodger fan listening to this is like, "Give me a break, man."
Yeah, I
But
know.
but it is, and you and I have followed baseball long enough that we've seen this with other teams. We've seen this with Yankees teams. We've seen this with other Dodger teams. We've seen this with Boston Red Sox teams. We've seen this with the Giants at times, the Padres even, that they go out and you spend a lot of money and you put these rosters together, but injuries can derail you. And just because it looks on paper, you still got to play the games.
Yeah,
So
no,
hopefully,
it's
hopefully we can. Well, and hey, maybe this, Bill. Maybe that's another reason for the Dodgers to do like a 6 man or a 6 man starting rotation for a lot of the season instead of just five. Gives it will set it up better for some of these guys. I don't know. We'll see.
and see, and it's not just the Dodgers that have these issues. And we'll sidebar here for 30 seconds. It's not just the Dodgers that have these issues. You have you have the Braves who come into LA. They start in San Diego on the 27th. They play the 27th, 28th, 29th. They don't get a day off in the 30th. So they play a 4 game series in San Diego. Don't get a day off. Play the 31st, first and second in LA. Get a day off on Thursday the third.
Right.
Play the Miami Marlins the fourth, fifth, and sixth. Then get a day off again with no travel
Yeah.
to play the Phillies at home. I mean, the schedule's just really wonky this year. But enough about enough about the schedules. We can complain
Oh
about
yeah,
that
yeah, and we could
all
probably
day and all
complain
night.
about that just about every year too. It just
Yeah.
feels worse this year because they've already played two counting games. So
Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Okay. So we got the Detroit Tigers in. Talk to me about the Detroit Tigers. You know who we're gonna face game one.
right,
Tariq
yep,
Skubal.
yep.
So
Look,
talk
Tigers are
about
going to be a tough team this year. That's a little bit of a tough start. Um, I think they, all things considered, I think they probably should win the the division there in the AL Central. So you're going to have, um, they're going to get, and look, you're the other thing you always have to consider this again this season is the Dodgers are the defending champs. So you're going to get just about everybody's best shot every time.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I look, they played well against the Cubbies. I think the Tigers are probably a little bit better team than the Cubs overall. Um, so it's going to be a test. We'll see. I hope Mookie's back for that, but he may not be. But hopefully, hopefully we can just play good baseball. We can look. One of my favorite things about the Dodgers last year was they and has been for a lot of years, especially since Dave Roberts been the manager, but even when Donnie Mattingly was the Dodgers are good at taking pitches. They're good at not swinging at garbage most of the time, and they're good at getting deep into the counts. And when you can do that, that's you can chase starters earlier. You get a look at a bunch more pitches. You can foul some stuff off. So hopefully, hopefully we can continue what happened in those two games against the Cubs and have our pitching, limit damage to 1 or 2 runs, and we can have our bats do what the bats on paper should do.
On paper should do. The nice part about this is the Tigers are going to be good this year. Like you said, it's going to be a rough start for the Dodgers. After Tariq Skubal, we'll probably see our good buddy Jack, who pitched for us
Yep.
last season,
Yep.
and then
A
it will
little
either
sad
be,
we don't have him and Walker Bueller both back, but I get it.
eh,
Yeah.
where are you going to put him,
And you got to
right?
look, you pay some, you can't pay everybody. So I'll
You
take
know,
the team we got this year.
there was choices made.
Yep.
Do you choose Walker Buehler? Or do you choose Roki Sasaki? Like Roki
Yeah.
has
You
not
check.
proved himself yet,
Yep. Yep.
but he's younger and he's not as injury prone as Walker. So
Yep.
it's a tough choice.
Yep. They'll
It's a
love
tough.
those tight pants in Boston though. So
Good call. Good call.
yeah, they
Um,
will they will love that.
Reese Olson and or Jackson Jobe will be game three. Not quite sure how that plays itself out. Uh,
Snell's our starter for game one, right? They've announced that.
what's that?
Snell is starting for the Dodgers.
I believe so. Yeah,
I think
I
they've
believe so.
announced that.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
not, but
so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Just the pitching matchup, right?
right.
And so I'm trying to pull up the see if they've announced every starter. Let's see here. So the Dodgers, yes, it's Skubal against Snell. The following day, it looks like it's TBD against Yamamoto.
Okay.
And then it looks like the final day of the series is TBD against Sasaki.
Okay.
So, um, so you're going to get one left-hander and two very strong right-handers.
Okay. Hey, look, let's get it going. Let's see who we got.
Yep.
That's
Yep. And
that's
I mean, the Tigers, I joke around with Ashley that does the American
mhm.
League with Ashley with us. I joke around with her all the time and say, hey, I love this, but you guys are going to start out 0-3. I hope I'm
Right.
right. I hope I'm right. But I mean, I've already called Scotty our final record. Have I told
Okay.
you what our final record is?
No, let's hear it.
161-1. We're going to lose one game to the White Sox.
Okay. That would be hilarious. Is that going to be the White Sox only win with 6 of their starting pitchers needing Tommy John surgery?
Very possibly. Very possibly. So, but yeah, no,
Awesome.
it's going to be awesome. Um, Before we get too far into the rest of the Braves and then who we think are going to be standout guys,
Right.
everything like that, just want to remind everybody 27 Outs Club. Super simple. You go into the team store. It's 27 bucks a month. You get your team, guaranteed your team in two of the club box breaks. There will be more box breaks besides for that, but two of the club box breaks, you'll get your team. And then in addition to that, you get a $5 off coupon, the shipping, and all kinds of good times.
Hey,
There is
don't forget, this is big. You get early access to the other box breaks
oh
that aren't part of the club, and that's a day early to go pick some other teams. So that's a value add that I liked as well.
yes,
Um,
yes.
because I don't want to be stuck getting only Twins players in a box breaks.
Carlos Correa, we're sending you
If it's
19
Harmon,
Carlos Correa
if it's a
cards.
Legends of the Game, Harmon Killebrew signed one, I'll take that. But yeah, I'm not looking for a whole lot of Minnesota Twin. Maybe Kirby Puckett, that would be okay.
Maybe Kirby Puckett, maybe Ken Herbeck, right?
Yeah, there's a few guys. I'm sure if you went down the line, there's a few guys. Joe Mauer would be all right.
Van Gladden,
But I don't know.
Justin Mauer.
But anyway, yeah, come join us. It's the
Yeah.
club's fun. The other breaks are fun. Come join us.
So now, Scott, we finished up the homestand against the Braves.
Yep.
Um, Thoughts on that series? Those are, by the way, we're playing two teams that made the playoffs last season, but our first three series are against teams that could
Right.
very well be playoff bound. So,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts
Well, and
about playing the Braves?
for sure, the all three of them are feeling after last year that they would need to take the next step. And Phillies, Braves, both are thinking World Series for sure. I mean, I'm sure the Tigers are too, but Braves, Phillies, those are probably our two biggest competitors for along with the other NL East team, the Mets. Um, that's probably our three of our biggest hurdles in getting to the World Series down the line.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
of course, we
Yep.
got to take care of business in the NL West first anyway. So,
Well, the and it doesn't slow down either. After that, it's Philly. After that, it's Washington, I think.
right at
So,
Washington, and then you got the Cubbies who are a little improved. Our first breathers kind of um, Jackie Robinson Day series, 14th, 15th, 16th against the Rockies at home. That should
yeah, that's
theoretically be a sweep, but we'll see.
or the Rockies always play us difficult though. They
They
drive me
do. They're one
crazy.
of them and the Diamondbacks. Even when they're the worst in the league, they both still play the Dodgers tough.
Yeah, it's insane, but it's fun to watch, but it's insane, right?
Yeah, for sure,
So,
for sure.
yeah, I like this series again. The homestand, you're talking about 6 games in the homestand. I don't want to sound too cocky. Could I see us going 6-0? Maybe five
Maybe.
and one. Yeah, yeah. Could I see us going 4-2? Probably. 3-3 or 2-4? Probably not.
Yeah,
Probably not. It'll be
yeah.
hard to see us go in a 6 games series,
I'm
especially at
gonna
home, two and
I'm
four
gonna
this
call
season.
us I'm gonna call us 4-2 after those
Okay.
first six home games. I'm gonna say
Okay.
my prediction is 4-2. We'll drop one to each team.
Okay. 5-1. Five and
Okay.
one.
Okay. I
Uh,
like that.
five and
I
one,
like
which
that.
makes us 7-1 in our first 8 games.
Yeah. Okay. Hey,
Right.
I love it.
So,
I love it. 7-1 and through eight is we're right where we want to be.
well, and honestly, it's the Dodger hatred from people is real. And if the
Mm-hmm.
Dodgers start out like the Tigers did in '84, like 35-5, people are going to be losing their minds. With all of the deferred money and all this
I
stuff.
know.
And oh my gosh, you know how many times I hear that, Scott? It's just makes me want to cut my
I
pinky
know.
toe off or something.
I
I don't
know.
know.
I know. I know.
It's it's brutal.
Can I
It
just
is
say
brutal.
again how brutal this stretch of May is? The first week of May or first 10 days of May for the
Hmm.
Dodgers. I mean, come on.
Hmm.
They have
Yeah.
they have 10 straight road games.
Mhm.
And no day in between. That's ridiculous.
Telling you, the scheduling people at the MLB have started to say we're going to take it to the better teams and we're going to make them prove it, right?
Yep.
You don't see this with other teams. You don't see this.
I mean, a 10-day road trip, not a single break. And and on top of that, they're not close. I mean, Atlanta, Florida is pretty close to each other, but then they got to fly all the way back to Arizona after the Marlins on a Wednesday and then play a Thursday game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And there's,
that's ridiculous.
gosh, is this the one I'm looking for? I can't remember if this was the one. Yeah, yeah, here you go. Here you go. Okay, now, Scott, you and I both know that Philadelphia to DC is not very far. Heck, they used to do it on horses when we
Right,
were establishing
right.
the country, right?
Hey, they probably still, some people probably still do.
Right.
Yeah,
So
not far.
Philadelphia starts on Thursday at Washington. Okay.
Okay.
They have Friday off. Then they play Saturday and Sunday. And then they come home and they start their homestand. But let's make sure we give them a day off right after we
Yeah,
start something,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Well, they gave the Dodgers 8 days off after their first two games, so
Yeah, this
whatever.
it's the scheduling is
Hey,
just
and look, when it comes down to it, we won the World Series last year, so we're gonna get
yeah,
everything thrown at us this year again.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's
It's I've mentioned
part of
this
the
on
way
other
this is all designed.
I've mentioned this on other podcasts, but there's a game that I used to play, and you would when you were the top dog, you got the best two cards from the person that was at the worst position. And
Right,
it was really hard to knock that top dog off
right.
because you got the best cards from other players. So
Yep, yep,
yeah, it's
yep,
kind of
yep.
that way. All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's standing
Anyway,
out this season? Who do you think is going to have a standout season? Maybe somebody we're not thinking of. Maybe it is somebody we're thinking of. Who's going to have a standout season?
I think I think Freddie Freeman, and not that it is unexpected, but I think Freddie Freeman is going to have an MVP caliber year after the weird year he had last year with the health problems with his son, and he's not going to have to deal with something that weird this year. I think Freddie's going to get on a heater and just tear it up this year.
Yeah.
That's my prediction there. Dark horse. Blake Trinan's going to give up like 3 runs all year. That's my dark horse. He's just not going to give runs up this year.
Okay. Okay.
There,
I
there,
like
there's
that.
my two predictions guaranteed to go wrong.
That's guaranteed to go wrong. Put your money on it in Vegas, everybody, so you can lose some money.
Yeah.
Um, here's my offensive and defensive.
Okay.
Okay. Offensive, I think that you're going to watch Mookie and Freddie have kind of the caliber of chasing each other back and forth as Maris and Mantle did. Maybe not in the
Right.
home run categories, but talking about hits, doubles, that type of thing. I think they're going to play off of each other very, very well this season.
Right.
And and it would not surprise me if between the two of them they had over 100 doubles, and it would not surprise me if between the two of them they had 350 hits and or better.
Okay.
Okay.
Mark it
Um,
down. Triple stamp
okay.
it.
So the surprise dark horse offensively is going to be Michael Conforto.
Okay.
He is going to take a pause on the whole I hate playing baseball or the Mets fans weren't awesome to me or whatever. And he's going to have a very good breakout season. Remember, the Dodgers resurrect people's career, a la Chris Taylor, a la Max Muncy,
Yep.
um, insert player here,
Yep.
right?
Yep. We've
Um,
had several that have come through that we rejuvenated them. Some stayed, like you just mentioned, and some have moved on and continued to be pretty decent other elsewhere. So
correct.
I like it.
De-
Let's do it,
defensively,
Conforto.
yeah, yeah. Defensively, I think we're going to see a lot of good come out of Yamamoto this season. But the dark horse is Kirby Yates.
Okay.
Nobody's paying attention to this guy, and he is going to be so good. And it's not
Okay.
that they're not paying attention to him because he's terrible. They're not paying attention to him because when you're in a pitching staff that has Roki and Yamamoto, Shohei, Glass now, and then you've got a closer like
Blake
Tanner
Snell,
Scott,
Kershaw,
Blake
just
Snell.
the names, even though they're not in there,
Right, right.
Yeah.
PG. Then
Yeah.
you've got Blake Treinen, like you mentioned. You've got Tanner Scott. Like there's
Vesia. Yeah.
yeah.
There's so many other names that you're just not, you don't even, you're like 9, 10 deep before you're like, oh, that's right. He's on the Dodgers too.
Oh, that kind of okay. All
That's
right.
right.
Yeah,
Well, awesome.
yeah.
No, I like those. Those are good. Those are good. Good predictions. Mark it down. We'll see how we do.
We'll see how we do. Well, Scott, we've given everything. We got to thank Blake over at, I'm sorry, not Blake, AJ over. I'm thinking Blake Trennan. We got to thank
Yeah.
AJ over at Bleacher Brothers for putting us on. We love doing the Dodger update every week. We send stuff over. Every other week, Scott's on. It's just absolutely phenomenal what we're getting accomplished and what he's doing over there at Bleacher Brothers. So,
Yep.
Scott, we got to just get in 2 weeks, and in 2 weeks we'll have played
We'll have
10 or 14
real,
games,
real lots of baseball to talk about. That'll be great.
real
I'm
lots of
excited.
baseball. We'll be able to go back into some of these series and maybe 14 games in or 10 games in, and maybe we'll even be 10-0. Who knows?
Hey, we could.
So
Let's hope for the best. We'll
all I
do it.
know is the worst that we can do this season is 160 and two. That's the worst we can
Okay.
do. I
Okay.
mean, I'm sorry, two and 160. That's the worst we can do. Now, what are the odds of that? Nah, not too
Not
much.
much.
No, no, no,
Yeah.
no. Especially
No,
not
we're
this
gonna
season.
win. We're gonna win close to 100 again. Maybe get there again. Hopefully win the West. Most people are predicting that, and I don't know. I don't see anybody in the West that I don't really see anybody got better. And if anything, they took a step back. Most of them, Padres
My
for sure.
my only thing is I just don't want us to clinch it so early and not be game day ready for the
Yep, I
playoffs.
agree because we've seen that happen too many times where there's too much time between clinching and the start, and we just aren't sharp. And
No,
yeah, we'll talk about this way later in the season for playoffs, but I think all playoff series need to be made 7 games. I don't
no,
like 5 game series. I think they're stupid.
no.
I
I
think they
think three
punish.
game series are even worse.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that they punish the home team
Yeah,
on those 5 game series because even though you have 4 games at home if you go, or 3 games at home if you go all 5, you lose one of those first games, you're in big trouble. And I don't like it. I
yeah,
think you need to. I don't mind there being more playoff series. I don't mind there being more playoff teams, but I think you need to reward the guys who get the job done in the regular season a little bit better.
yeah.
Whether that's playing and look, you don't want to play a 7 game. I guess I said we'd get into this later, but now here I am digging a deep
Go
hole.
ahead,
But
preach.
turn those 5 game series into all home games for one team. Don't have them travel 5 games and play them 5 games in 6 days. Give them one day off in between there, like they do in the regular season, and reward the teams that win their divisions.
I somebody asked me what I would have done if I was commissioner in 2019 when I found out what the Astros had done.
Yeah,
And I would have said, really simple. I would have fined them the money, the 5 million, the maximum I can find them. I
yep,
would have taken away their international draft picks like they did.
yeah,
But I would have said to the Astros, if you make the playoffs, you do not host a playoff game and or a World Series game for 10 years.
yeah.
For
They
10
needed they
years.
needed something more substantial than what the punishments were for that is blatant and all the different tools they were using and I mean it's hard to say you go. I'm never really a fan of let's go strip that someone won, even if they cheated like that, just because
Yeah.
we all watched it. We were all there. You and I were at game 2. We felt the
Yep.
feels that were there. Like if all of a sudden they hand that to the Dodgers, it's not going to really make us feel a whole lot better.
Yeah.
But I think you needed to do some things to dissuade that. I agree with that.
Yeah.
That one
But
was just egregious.
if it
So
hurts the fans will police it and you'll never
yeah,
have that issue again.
yep, exactly,
Never have that issue again.
exactly. But I do. I think you need to reward somehow. I don't know if that's the exact way, giving them all 5 games in a 5 game series if you don't want to go 7. But I think there's something you got to do to reward those teams that won their division. And honestly, I almost feel like we need to get rid of bye weeks. Just add another team or whatever, and let's just go. No 3 game play in series, no whatever. Let's just go.
Let's just do it.
And let's not have, because you see it with a lot of the teams over the years. When they have too long a time off between the end of the regular season and starting playoff series, they get rusty. We
Get
we
really
talked about
rusty.
this earlier. They're used to the rhythm and the cadence of the season, and when it's not happening right, it really messes with you.
It
So
does. It does. And again, it's water under the bridge, but I'll tell you what, if you had the fans enforce it, all you took away homestands. I mean, imagine the seventh game of the World
yep,
Series. I'm
yep,
sorry, seventh game of the playoffs when in 2020, I think it was 2022, when it was Yankees, and the Yankees had to go to Houston. Imagine if that would have been played in the Bronx.
right,
How
right,
different. So
right, right, for sure,
all right,
for sure.
everybody. We done gone and did the best we could to give you a Dodgers update. We will have tons of Dodger updates coming up in the
Oh,
next
I
couple of
can't
weeks.
wait. So excited. Bought my MLB.TV account, and living in Utah, we don't get a whole lot of games other than the nationally televised ones. So it'll
Yeah, the
be
only thing
nice.
that
It'll be nice to see most of the Dodger games this year. It's been a couple years since I've been able to do that. So
the
I'm
only
excited.
games that will be blacked out for you is the regularly scheduled games, which are Colorado's games.
Yeah, so
So
dumb. So dumb. I hate it. Anyway.
yeah, exactly. Well, everybody, that is Scott. I'm Bill. We've given you our best we could. We'll be back here in 2 weeks together. We thank AJ and Bleacher Brothers Radio Network. I'll be back next week. Talk a little Dodgers update. This is up on YouTube tonight. Check out the box break that we're doing tonight.
Come join
So
us. Come join
yeah, we're
us.
excited about that. Come join us. We're gonna try to see if we can't pull out some rookie autos for Scott.
Yes.
Although we do that, and that may make him even more of a collector and
See,
more.
that's the problem when I get a good pull and then I'm like, ooh, I gotta get two more teams than I did last time at this new one. And then I'm just spending money like it's going out of style. So
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But Scott, thanks so much. AJ, thank you so much over at Bleacher Brothers. We appreciate you, and we'll do it
always
again soon. Have a good one, all.
thanks. Go blue.